All right, boys. So you will have made the candied oranges peels already, and you will have this syrup left over. Okay, boys. So here it is. You'll be able to notice quickly that it's thicker than before. Okay, before it was very runny and watery, and now what's happened is because we spent so much time boiling it, a lot of the water was evaporated away. So what happened was the water boiled, turned from a liquid to a gas, and those particles flew away. So as more and more gas or more and more steam left, the water level got lower and lower and lower. But at the same time, the amount of sugar stayed the same. So the sugar stayed behind. And if we kept boiling it, we would have just had sugar left behind. And that's what we call evaporating to separate a solution. That's not what we're going to do here. We want to make a syrup, but this is still a bit too runny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it back into the pot. Okay. And then, dripping all over the place. That'll be sticky later. I'm going to turn it on and let this begin to boil. Okay. And what I'm going to do is just let more of that water evaporate away so that it becomes even thicker. And then we'll start to get a honey-like consistency. And that's a golden syrup. And what's nice is it'll have an orange flavor to it if you like that sort of flavor in your syrups. The thing is, mostly what happens is if I just put water and sugar together and I boiled it, and then I let it cool down, it would start to crystallize again. Those sugars would start to come back together because we formed a saturated solution, but we actually made an oversaturated solution. So the stuff that was dissolved in it, as it started to cool down, it would undissolve and reappear or precipitate, okay? So what we need to do is we need to add some sort of acid to this that's also edible. So what we can add is lemon juice, which is acidic, or any other sort of citrus. And orange peels are citrus, so they have a little bit of acid in them. So this has already got an acid in it that's going to keep those sugar particles from forming again when it becomes really thick. All right? Thought I'd add that. If that doesn't make sense, it's just a bit of information to help you. All right. While that's going, I'm also going to get my jar ready. So this is the jar I'm going to keep the syrup in. I'm going to disinfect it. So what disinfecting does is it kills all the germs in here. Okay, and remember, there's little microorganisms or bacteria that's living all over the things. It's on my hands, it's on my face. That's kind of why we're washing our hands so much during this time of Corona, is to kill those things we can't see. Now, for this, we're going to take it a step further and disinfect it. So I'm going to put the lid in this pot. I'm going to put the jar in this pot as well. I'm going to put it on its side. And then I'm going to pour in a whole lot of boiling water. And I'm going to fill it up so that the jar is actually under water. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to boil this jar. I'm going to boil it for about 10 minutes, and then I'm just going to leave it there. Okay, and what's happening there is that hot water is going to reach 100 degrees Celsius. And at that level, there's not a lot of bacteria that can survive, and fungus and mold. And so it's going to kill all of that, okay? And then when it's done, I'm going to be very careful because the glass and the lid is going to be hot. I'm going to safely remove it, okay? So I'm going to let this boil for 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'm going to check how thick it's looking. All right, boys, so I've let this boil. I actually only let it boil for 10 minutes, and what started to happen was I started to see almost like a foam. The whole thing was bubbling up. Okay, so I turned it off at that point, and I turned it off now, actually. And so I'm going to pour the syrup out into this jar, which I've disinfected and let cool down. Okay, so pour it out. You'll see it still looks quite runny. It's not like the golden syrup you get at the shops. Ooh. Perfect measurement. Filled one jar. It's a little bit coming through. But what's going to happen now is as it cools down, it's going to get thicker and thicker. So I'm going to put it in the fridge now, and that'll speed up its cooling down. And what will happen is, if it starts to get too thick, then what I can always do is I can put it back on the pot. Hot. Put it back in the pot, put a little water in, heat it up, and then pour it out again. So the water will dilute it.